part of Project 571, genetically engineered vampire created to destroy evil.
What do you want?
We need your help to kill a vampire.
Malleus Maleficario. It was written by a witch. The first witch. Titania.
That was a little snippet from The Witch's Hammer, the first film I ever solo directed, and it's just been remastered and re-released on Amazon. So if you like witches and vampires, then please do check it out. Anyway, let's get on with this week's episode. Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast. This week I'm chatting to filmmaker Nathan Benham. Nathan started out wanting to be an actor, not getting the parts he wanted. He then decided he was going to make his own films, and from there he's made short after short after short. So it's really interesting talking to a filmmaker who's come from acting, started to write these short films, had a lot of festival success. So we talk a little bit about the types of short films he's made and how they've got into all the different festivals and actually won awards. And we talked about the next steps for him, what it's like going from a short where it was just him and the camera to a crew of about 20 people. Enjoy. So talk to me a bit about how you got into filmmaking.
Filmmaking itself, purely by accident, stroke, just frustration as well, really. Ideally, I'm an actor. That's what I've trained at. That's what I've spent the majority of my life doing. About 5 years ago, I got frustrated that Steven Spielberg wasn't ringing my phone. So I thought, if I start producing my own stuff, then maybe I've got content to put out there. And so I had an advert which I got a really good buyout by. Bought a camera, thought, well, if I learn the basics of camera movements and editing and color grading, just the general little bits, then at least that way I could probably get a couple of mates together and we can just sort of, just create some scenes, really, not really sort of full-blown short films. And sort of like my first folly was the weekend I got the camera. It's probably a glorified music video, really. But lucky enough, I'm married to a model and an actress. So sort of took her out for an afternoon pub lunch, and we just shot a sequence, which is called Pulled Into Focus, really. And a friend of mine lent his song to it. And it's just basically a story where, and we shot it all within like an afternoon. It was basically a story of like, your life could potentially be out of focus until that perfect person comes in and everything just becomes focused around you. And, people seem to like it. And, just put it on YouTube and sort of like followed on from there, really. And then, it picked up a little bit of buzz. And a few years later, shortly after COVID sort of struck, I wanted to get back into the folly of it. And sort of like made what was potentially my first short film, which was, again, a glorified monologue, really. And it was a film called Unhealthy Addiction, which I wrote during COVID. And it's basically, it starts off as what looks like an AA meeting, pretty much like this type of frame, just sort of like this. And he goes, "Hi, my name's Terry, and I'm an addict." And throughout the film, you realise what he's actually talking to a woman he's locked in a fridge because he's confessing to being a murderer, basically, a serial killer that he's right. And I tried like different camera angles, and I tried a nice color grade where it starts off quite warm and then goes cold throughout it. And it was just me, my camera on a tripod. I gaffer taped my boom to the ceiling, so I got good audio because I knew, as doing YouTube for that period of time as well, that audio is one of the most important things going. I sort of again just put it on YouTube, not thinking anything of it. People seem to like it, and some idiot said, "Well, maybe it might do well in film festivals." I'm like, "Don't be silly." And I thought, could it? And it got accepted into 4. Didn't win anything, but I was like, "Oh my god, I've maybe I could do this as I say like a secondary job, but I could do this potentially as a job." So with each film I've learned something new. Like the next film, I've got an actor friend involved. I dragged in a vlogger mate of mine to shoot it because I wanted to put camera movement into it. And that film just took off. been here before. Just like it won almost every single thing I put it into. You know, they weren't the big film festivals because I knew my limits, but almost everything that we entered, it won something. There's a proper sort of cheeky Guy Ritchie type gangster flick, and yeah, that's just sort of spawned me on with each film. I've learned something new, and like my crew's grown from just me to 3 of us, and my last film had 20 people. Sort of like I'm like going, you know, I've got all these people to control. So yeah, it was generally by accident. Like I still call myself an actor. Like most of my work is still acting, but it turns out I'm not too bad at making movies as well.
Lovely. And I think that's, having spoken to a lot of actors, that is sort of a common thing that happens these days, is actors do get frustrated, they're not getting the parts they want, and they work out they'd quite like to have a go at directing, writing as well, and you get some really good results. So into the nitty-gritty of the short films, so now you're working on one, you've got 20 people all working on this short film for you. How are you self-financing? Are you crowdfunding? How are you raising the money to make your films?
It's all self-financing at the moment. Like our next stage of development, because both me and my wife now sort of have our own production company now. So Distorted Rebels is sort of like developed over everything. So she now writes, and we do plays, and we do, like, she's had her second short film, currently editing that right now. And yeah, it's all self-financing at the moment, because lucky enough, throughout the tenure of us starting and now, we've seemed to have like picked up people from actors to cameramen to sound people to makeup artists. And we sort of like, once we've created something or we've written something, we're like, oh, let's see if so-and-so is involved. And, you know, they get involved, because hopefully they think we're nice people and they don't mind working with us. So yeah, so it's sort of like, you know, like we have a little look. Obviously, we don't write out of our own means. I think that's the most important thing that we do. So I'm not going to write a film that has a car chase through central London. You know, I just can't afford that. My first 3 films were all filmed in my studio, because the house we lived in before, we had I had my own sort of like recording studio where I did a lot of product photography, and I did my YouTube videos, and we had that wonderful space, and I could just dress it up. It was basically a garage that I used. So I focused on films that could exist in that space, which brought the cost down a lot. And then, you know, it's all sort of like favors, guys. Like, but you know, the one thing that we promise people when they sort of walk away from our sort of productions is, you know, they've been fed and their expenses have been covered. And then we just sort of add little bits on, like every single rehearsal that we do or every single film set that we have a behind the scenes photographer. And we've got 3 now who sort of work in and out with us. So, and they offer their services and their photographs, because obviously they want to build their portfolio. But then the actors and crew have these professionally made bases of photo shoot, which they would probably have paid £200 or £400 for, and they get all that for free. So again, you know, they're getting something out of it, even though it's not a paycheck per se. And then, you know, the last couple of films we've done a premiere screening for them, so they get like treated like a star for a day. And I know it sounds really sort of crap of me to say that, oh no, we're pandering to them, but it's sort of like we're so grateful that they're giving up their time and their talent, because as an actor, I've done the same thing. It's a great way of building your portfolio, to do something for free. It's one of the only industries in the world where you have to work for free before you start getting paid, which is a little bit backwards. But yeah, I rock up on set, I do my job, and I don't hear from them again. You know, I chase them for, you know, oh, when's the film coming out? Can I get my footage, please? Can I, you know, what's going to happen to the film? But the one thing that we promise is potentially a really good film. We're quite confident in our own talents now that it could do well in the film festival circuit. And we include them with it as well. Like every time we get nominated or we get included into a film festival, you know, we put it in the group chat and the group chat explodes. When we win something, it's a collective win. You know, me and Phoenix don't go, oh, look what we've won, as in to robust. It's like, look what we've won. Because as actors, again, and I think what helps us out a bit is that we sit there and go, without these wonderful, wonderful, talented people, I'm just an idiot sat in a church talking to himself.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
sort of like, so it's a collective win. And often we've had people thank us for the inclusion of like, oh, thanks for keeping us up to date with the film festivals and with all this and all that. And that's the important side of it for us, really, to have that inclusion. Like, they're not just going to come up for a day and shoot with us and then they're gone. They don't get spoken to again. And we rehire as well. So like, if we like working with somebody, we call them up for the next project. Like Cameron Robertson has been in 5 of our productions in the last 3 years because he's such a great person to work with, and and that's it. So so it is self-financed. Going back to your question, sorry. It is self-financed. So like whatever we've got in the bank, we see how much something's going to cost. We go, or we just want to have a bottle of wine that weekend. And then, we just sort of like try our best to keep it down as low as possible.
Yeah.
But
so then, having made all these short films, what makes a successful short film shoot, do you think?
the shoot itself, collaboration, 100%. In this stage, it is collaboration. Like no egos on set. No sort of like, I'm the boss, what I say goes. Because we're lucky enough to have had people at different levels of experience on our sets. We've got Adam, who's our main cinematographer. He's an actual videographer. That's what he does, bread and butter. But he doesn't like, well, he does like it, but he wants to be a film videographer, not a cinematographer, not somebody who shoots adverts or yogurts or events. Like, he wants to make movies. So like, his skills and his talent are through the roof. But then we've also got people who have just come out of university, or people who are in their final year. And the one thing we sort of say is, you have a voice on set. If you're looking in the monitor and you see something that's not right, we're not the type of film set like, oh, know your place. Don't talk up to these people. Don't if we want your opinion, we'll give it to you. And it's that collaboration piece of it. Is that everyone's, even though we all have our different jobs, and ideally the buck stops with us as the people who are making the film. Everyone has their opinion. Like, if they think, oh, that doesn't look right, or even the actors, like, I don't think my character would say this. Okay, cool. We'll develop it. We'll work with it. And I think that's what makes our sets different to sets that I've personally been on, especially in student productions and some sort of like short film productions as well, where I've got a suggestion. And like, no, you do not have a suggestion. You're just here to say the lines that we tell you to say.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I think that's what helps our sets out.
Yeah, definitely. I think that sense, especially with actors, letting them mold their characters and letting them give you good feedback on why something doesn't feel right. And I've said this before, usually if an actor's struggling with a line, it's probably because the line's not great and there's a better line there that they might well come up with. And it's interesting you say, on a short film, it is actually a good environment to allow everyone to kind of get involved and collaborate. And it's the trick, I think, with a lot of the students I work with, is then when you go to a big set, is being able to read the room and know when it's appropriate to add your opinion and when it's appropriate to just kind of like take a step back. But I completely agree with all that on a short film. So then what if that's what makes a successful short film shoot, what do you think makes a successful, having got into these festivals, what makes a successful short film?
A good story. I'm a massive believer in a good story, a character-driven story. Because I've been entered in these lot of festivals, I've been to a lot of screenings, and it's fascinating to me the amount of what the hell did I just watch moments I've had when it comes to like when a filmmaker tries to be too clever, when a filmmaker tries to be like, you've got to cram up so much information in such a short space of time that sometimes as a creative you get too clever, and you sort of sit, and like all my films they're potentially a scene, apart from the last one, which is more of a story, but that's a bit longer. Final Orders, it's a snippet of a larger picture, because the way that I write, and it's infuriated a lot of people who follow my work, is that there's always something that's happened before, and there's definitely something that happened afterwards. And that's the way I see films anyway. Like, you're only seeing like a little snippet of their particular life. Get Out Breathing, for example, which is the film that is currently doing the rounds in the festivals at the moment. They discuss what's just happened before what you're watching, and you get a clear picture of what happened through the dialogue, and you have a bit of an understanding of what might happen afterwards. And it ends on a situation where, like, okay, so what is he going to do? How is he going to make this right? Are the guys going to catch the Russians? And I do that for two reasons. One is because I hope that someone will see it and go, oh, there's a feature here, and throw a crap ton of money at me to make it. And two, for people to want to know more about the story. So short films, like every film really should be about the story, about the sort of, like, if you look at these city blockbusters of, the Marvel films, there's still a story there. There's still character development, even though if it's spread over 47 films, each has its own story, its own character. And then you look at what is starting to come back now, which is now the mid-budget movies. But you talk about like the Forrest Gumps and the Poet Societies. They're all about stories, and they're all about the characters. And there's not just this. And you, as a short filmmaker, you've got to try to get that into the sort of like the miniature. And that's why I sort of recommend, when people are like, oh, I'm trying to write a short film and I'm trying to do this, so instead of trying to write a 3-act film in 15 minutes, write a 3-act scene and create a world around it to make people want to know what's going on around it. That's your short film. And I think that's what makes a better short film, than rather trying to be too arty-farty, too sort of, like what can we experiment with?
Yeah. Although some people, I'm not this sort of person, but some people like the arty-farty stuff.
They do. They
do. And I would say definitely. So I've judged a few film festivals, and I think my thought would be, you've got to grab the audience straight away. And like what you're saying about what a short film allows you to do is tell part of a bigger story. You don't have to set everything up. You don't, like you say, you don't have to finish everything. And I think where I struggle with maybe what you're alluding to with the arty-farty ones is where it's not really very clear what's happening and who the lead character is, and there's no kind of substance to it. And it loses me. And the other one bugbear I've got is on short films, when I see a minute of credits at the beginning. I don't need to see it. Not interested. Give me the short film straight away. And also, I think that is a good tip when you're entering a short film, is you've got to grab the people who are watching it, screening it, and deciding whether you make it into the film festival or not.
100%. Like all of my short films, the opening credit sequence is part of the film. Like the Chop and Block just here, like the opening credit sequence is the two leads grappling with each other. So there's still a visual, there's still a story being told. And even with the end credits, because I still want people to watch them, with Get Out Breathing, I've got a sequence going on behind the end credits as well. So there's still something to watch instead of just scrolling text. But I 100% agree with you. Like, when you're sitting there, I don't need to know who bought you your morning coffee in your opening credits. Tell me who made it, tell me who directed it, tell me who's in it, tell me what the film is, and go. But then also use your artistic license within those opening credits to continue to tell the story. With Final Orders, the opening sequence where the credits are going to be is when the two prisoners have been brought to their court-martial. So, so there's still a story being told, like, who are these people? Why are they being tied up? Why are they being guarded by these British soldiers? So it opens, I don't care if they're reading Nathan Benham Presents. It's neither here or there. They can watch it again and read what's going on in front of them. But yeah, like all of my films so far, like I've always opened with a story as the opening credits come on. And so yeah, so you as a short filmmaker, you can use those opening credits to tell a story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've done well at film festivals. So over and above having a good film, what other tips would you have for somebody who wants to enter a bunch of film festivals? So what do you do at that stage? And is there anything you think people don't do maybe that doesn't get them through past the person looking at the films?
I think I'm very good at saying about this because obviously my first film I went big or go home. Like I think with Pulled Into Focus, I saw the like the BAFTA nominated ones, and that'd be quite good. And I'm spending 30 to 40 to 60 pounds entering a 5-minute music video to these massive, great big things. Thinking it'll be easy to get into, and then getting rejection after rejection after rejection. I think what you need to do when you're sort of like know your limitations, know who's going to be watching your film, how good your film is. I think we need to be very humble about it. Final Orders. I didn't think it was going to not Final Orders. Unhealthy Addiction. It's just me and a camera, so I know it's not going to go far. I know it's not going to win an Oscar or a BAFTA. So I looked at 3 festivals just to see how it would go. And I looked at sort of bi-monthly festivals as well because their turnover is a bit bigger. So obviously they're only looking for like a good film in a small handful rather than doing like these yearly ones where they're probably getting thousands upon thousands of them. And unless you can pitch yourself up against some of the best ones, because I did a competition with one via YouTube, and again it was just me, my camera and the tripod little thing. It was, I can't remember what it was, and it was good. It was a good little film. I put a little bit of special effects into it. I made myself a hologram and everything. But then I saw what I was up against, and I'm like, oh, so that's what a good film looks like. It was like, yeah, mine's okay for a man with a Canon 80, but yeah, like one of them had Mike Tyson in it, and I was like, how am I supposed to compete with that?
Tyson, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that's it. Know your level, and then compete at that level. It's like a boxer. Like a boxer, if you're just first day in the gym, you're not going to go up against Anthony Joshua. You're going to go up against a guy in the gym up the road, and if you beat him, you can then go, improve yourself. So with each film that I've made, I've upped the game a little bit with the festivals that I've entered. I've entered what I would call the ones which the ego boosting festivals. The ones that you sort of like, if your film's good, you might actually walk away with a victory. And then you get that, like, hey, not too bad. And then it sort of spurs you to sort of go for the bigger, better ones. Like with, for the first time ever with Get Out Breathing, I've put it into a festival that the winners get automatic selection for BAFTA. Because I'm like, maybe this film is the one that could do it. And, I don't find out until February next year if that's even been selected. But yeah, like, I'm like, okay, I think I'm at that level now where people might start paying attention to what I'm doing. So yeah, so like, have a research, have a little look around, have a bit of an idea of your weight category. To go back to the sort of the sports analogy, and then fight at that level because you've got more of a opportunity to win something, which gives you the ego boost that you need to up your game for the next round.
Yeah. And also this, if we're going to continue the sports analogy, and I'm not sporty at all, I would also say if you were an amateur boxer, you might do that in your area. So entering festivals close to you is quite good because those festivals know that you're going to bring an audience, because ultimately they've got to sell tickets to that festival, which is something you should definitely put in your cover letter, which you should always write a cover letter. So then, looking back on all the films you've made so far, what do you wish you'd known when you started?
Oh, it's a good question. One, how addictive it is to make a film. Like, it is such an addictive thing. I made a video on it the other day. To see everything get put together, and from start to finish is like, it's such a little buzz. Like, especially when you're stressing about a location and you can't get a location, and all of a sudden you get that location, and it's like a different type of rush. Patience as well. I think having the patience with your own skill set is definitely a way of something that you need to know, and something that you should sort of like, don't think you're the next Spielberg straight off the bat, and don't take yourself too seriously, which I don't think I ever did. I never, like, even as an actor, I've never taken myself that seriously, because I'm just grateful to be doing what I do, because I don't come from that type of background anyway. You know, like, I think when I was growing up, we had 3 different job opportunities. It was either to drive a van, to take things to a van, or nick things from the van.
Nice.
That was my those were my job opportunities. To say the fact that I'm sitting here as a kid from a council estate and I make films for a living, is so don't take yourself too seriously, and don't think you're the next big thing, and there's nobody on set better or worse off than you. Everyone on set is generally sort of the same type of level, and I want to take that. If I ever do break the glass ceiling of the entertainment industry, I will be as humble as I can, because I know for a fact that at one point I'm going to start coming down. I might meet those people who are on their way up. So yeah, I think that's it. Like, keep yourself grounded.
And so then my next question is, when are you going to make a feature? When are you going to take that step from shorts to a feature film?
I'm currently toying with a few ideas with a couple of people who I've worked with at the moment. I've had some feature ideas in the past, and I think really it's more on the lines of, do I have the audacity to make a feature with the promise that it could go somewhere? So I'll get all these people together and go, right, I can't offer you big money contracts up front, but I'm starting to understand the film industry a little bit more, and distribution is like my next step when it comes to filmmaking, is what I'm trying to learn at the moment. And go, listen, if you help me make it, if it makes it, we all get a payday. So yeah, like we're in conversations, but yeah, like, it's money makes the world go round, and if you can sit there and like I said, I can't write a feature film that involves fantastic car chases through the central London. So I need a decent feature film that I can realistically make with the idea. Like, I'm trying to think of ideas around the concept like Saw. Mm-hmm. Saw is a fantastic written film based around one location. And it kept you, in because of the story and the characters and development and all that sort of stuff, to write something like that on a micro budget, to then, hopefully it kicks off, and then also you can start your own franchise. But yeah, like, I think I'm ready. A few friends have told me that I'm ready, and a few people who I've worked with in the last couple of films are like, we would back you. And then hopefully I can sit there and go, right, okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do for each other going forward. So I'm team with the idea, especially if the latest one does as well. So as I hope it will. I'm team with the idea. I think I'm ready to write a 90-page. But I think for me as a writer, because I'm not really a writer, I'm dyslexic. I find it difficult. I wouldn't mind sort of working with somebody else's script and going, right, I can make that and have that. Because at the moment, the one person I don't have in my circle of, like, both me and Fee, is a writer. This is someone who can write a story for us, and then we as producers can make it for them.
Well, if anyone's listening, they've got a good script. I hope that was useful. If you're interested in short films and you want to hear from a filmmaker who turned his success on a short film that actually got Oscar nominated into a television directing career, then you could listen to my episode with Jamie Donahue. Jamie's worked on massive TV shows like The Last Kingdom, and also directed the season finale of Doctor Who with Ncuti Gatwa.